Chapter 46 Take another fruit of the nine-tailed fox. Previous chapter list next chapter. Lord of Chains, Captain Tich said, "Let you stay." Catalina Depin said, her figure changed slightly, and several fox tails grew from behind her. A fierce and violent aura radiated from Katrina Depeng, holding a big slasher in her hand. Armament haki covered the chopping knife, and Catalina directly swung the chopping knife and slashed directly at Li Wei. Although she didn't want to fight against Li Wei, Blackbeard gave the order and she can only execute it. "If you want me to stay, you don't have such strength yet." Li Wei snorted coldly, clenched his palms into a fist, wrapped his fists around the armament haki, the ability covered with shock fruit, slammed a punch at Catalina Depeng. Armed, hardened, and shaken. Boom! Li Wei's fist collided with Katrina Depeng's big knife. With a click, a crack appeared on the body of De Jandeo. The cracks expanded instantly, and the big slasher shattered instantly. Li Wei's shock directly shattered Katrina Depeng's weapon. Losing a weapon means going hand in hand with Li Wei. This is not a good thing. You know, the most powerful thing about Whitebeard back then was his pair of shock punches. Li Wei, who got shock fruit, is almost like that. Katarina Depeng's face changed drastically, and she wanted to step back again and again, but Li Wei did not give Katarina Depeng this opportunity at all. Momo double speed. In an instant, Li Wei approached, and came to Katrina Depeng in an instant. Before Katarina Depeng could react, Li Wei punched Katarina Depeng's abdomen. Inside vibe. Boom! Catalina Depeng instantly felt that her internal organs were shattered in an instant. A mouthful of blood spurted out instantly. Catalina Depeng's body blasted backwards directly and hit the ground severely. 2 punches. Katarina Depeng is defeated. In the first punch, Li Wei smashed Katrina Depeng's weapon. In the second punch, Li Wei shattered the internal organs of Catalina Depeng and cut off the vitality of Catalina Depeng. After 2 punches, Catalina Depeng fell directly to the ground and couldn't afford it. And the interval between these 2 punches is less than 3 seconds. Blackbeard wants Catalina Depeng to intercept Li Wei's way. But Katarina Depeng couldn't even block Li Wei for 3 seconds, so how to block Li Wei for 3 minutes? Damn trash! I can't even stop it for 10 seconds. Blackbeard, who had just recovered completely, was suddenly frustrated when he saw this scene. Catalina Depeng was a trash. He was wasted to bring her out of the city, and as a result, he couldn't do even small things. However, at the moments Li Wei didn't care about Blackbeard at all. With a big wave of his hand, the illusory anchor appeared instantly and pierced into the body of Catalina Depeng. A purple light group was instantly hooked out by the illusory anchor and turned into a devil fruit. Catalina Depeng is an ability in the form of animals, monster species, canine fruit, and nine-tailed fox, so this devil fruit should be the nine-tailed fox fruit of the monster species. The fruit of the nine-tailed fox has finally arrived, this time it really should be gone. A smile appeared in Li Wei's eyes. To be honest, just now he chose to break through from the direction of Catalina Depeng, not just casually. Really speaking, this should be regarded as Li Wei's plan. That's right, what Li Wei planned was the fruit of the nine-tailed fox of Catalina Depeng. Li Wei has not forgotten that Sky also needs to solve the shock anti-injury problem. A powerful Eudemon's fruit should be of great help to Sky. And among all the pirates present, only Katrina Depeng's nine-tailed fox fruit, like the phoenix fruit, belongs to the animal type Eudemons. Li Wei has obtained the phoenix fruit and can solve his own problems. If conditions permit, Li Wei doesn't mind helping Sky. It's definitely, Li Wei just give it a try. If there is no other way, he will not risk his life and help Sky to capture the fruit of the nine-tailed fox. Do your best, not do your best. This is Li Wei's idea. If the danger is too great, he will choose to give up. As a result, I did not expect that things went smoothly unexpectedly. Li Wei didn't seduce Katarina Depeng to take action, but Blackbeard, who was so jealous, directly ordered Katarina Depeng. Let her attack Li Wei and intercept Li Wei. So Li Wei took advantage of this opportunity to directly kill Catalina Depeng and successfully captured the fruit of the nine-tailed fox. In this way, the phoenix fruit and the nine-tailed fox fruit have all fallen into Li Wei's hands. Li Wei's goal of participating in this battle was completely achieved. Thinking of this, Li Wei rushed straight into the distance. This time, he is really ready to leave this battlefield. And this time, no one came out and intercepted Li Wei's way. Because the example of Catalina Depeng is still right in front of us, no one is dazzled. Li Wei left Silent Island smoothly and completely disappeared into the distance. Chapter 47 The Power of the Phoenix Fruit. Previous chapter list next chapter. Pirate World. Silent Island. With the departure of Li Wei, the battlefield fell into silence. Everyone's eyes widened, speechless, silently digesting the current situation. The Lord of Chains not only succeeded in capturing the fruit of the phoenix, but also pitted Blackbeard and killed Catalina Depeng. In the end, the Lord of Chains left calmly. Not only did they make wedding gowns for others, they also handed the wedding gowns to the enemy's hands. This result is hard for everyone to accept. Especially the Blackbeard, at the moment's face is extremely gloomy, pitch black as ink, bloodshot eyes, brewing an amazing killing intent. Captain Tich, what should I do now? A member of the Blackbeard pirate group, tremblingly, asked Blackbeard Tich cautiously. Kill all the remnants of Whitebeard. Blackbeard Tich yelled. At the moment, he was so angry that he was almost reaching the limit. Now Tich needs an object to vent his anger. This object is Whitebeard's remnant party. No, run away. Blackbeard is crazy, run away from here. Losing the backbone of Marco, the remnants of Whitebeard flew away and fell into defeat. Under such circumstances, it is impossible for them to defeat the Blackbeard pirates. What's more, they didn't even have the idea of resisting, they fled around, just thinking of fleeing here. Under such circumstances, their result is only one, and that is to be destroyed by the Blackbeard pirates. It can be said that the Whitebeard pirates is about to disappear completely on the stage of history. At this time, a large pirate ship slowly approached Silent Island. On the mast, there are 3 scratches on one left eye, and 2 black skull flags with crossed swords are hanging on the back. This is the 4 red-haired Shanks who came slowly. Perhaps with the appearance of Shanks, Whitebeard's remnant party may be able to retain the next line of life. However, Li Wei is not clear about these things. Because at the moment, Li Wei is far away from Silent Island. On a certain sea area, on an unnamed desert island. Li Wei, who drove Mark V, landed directly on the desert island. After leaving Silent Island, Li Wei did not immediately leave the pirate world. Back to countdown, 4. Checking the countdown, he found that he had more than 1.5 days left, less than 2 days. In the previous decisive battle, Li Wei could stay in pirate world for 3 days. Now that more than a day has passed, Li Wei still has more than a day and a half. In a day and a half, Li Wei can do a lot of things. So Li Wei did not leave the pirate world immediately. Landing on a deserted island and finding a place with no one at will, Li Wei directly summoned the anchor of the world. On the anchor of the world at the moment, 2 devil fruits are hooked. A blue devil fruit is the phoenix fruit that Li Wei prepared for himself. Another purple devil fruit is a nine-tailed fox fruit prepared by Li Wei for Sky. Take the phoenix fruit directly, Li Wei bites it and eat the phoenix fruit directly. In an instant, the phoenix fruit turned into a warm current and directly entered Li Wei's body. Li Wei closed his eyes slightly, quietly feeling the ability of the phoenix fruit. At a certain moment, Li Wei opened his eyes. A little blue flame appeared at Li Wei's fingertips. The flame spread, covering Li Wei's body. Li Wei's body began to change. A body composed of flames, pale blue fire wings. A miraculous blue flame bird appeared on the desert island, exuding miraculous brilliance. Li Wei has successfully transformed into a phoenix. At this moment, Li Wei felt his injuries and all recovered. In the previous battle, Li Wei broke out with all his strength, frantically using shock fruit and Momo fruit's ability, especially the trick that triggered the earthquake and tsunami has overdrawn Li Wei's power. This is why Li Wei rushed to leave the battlefield. If you continue to stay on the battlefield, you might get hurt. At that time, if Blackbeard finds out the flaw, it will be troublesome. Even just now, when he landed on a desert island, Li Wei's arms still trembled. This was a sequelae after the outbreak. But now, after eating the phoenix fruit, the inflammation of regeneration covers Li Wei's body, and all the injuries on Li Wei's body are burnt clean. Li Wei felt like he was reborn, all his injuries and hidden injuries disappeared. Sure enough, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. This ability is worth it. There was a flash of joy in Li Wei's eyes. After getting the fruit of the phoenix, he doesn't need to estimate so much in the future, he can fight with all his strength. This is the best ability for Li Wei. For the next half day, Li Wei was on the desert island, familiar with the ability of the phoenix fruit. After half a day, Li Wei left the deserted island. Li Wei also did not use the steel battle suit Mark V, directly turned into a phoenix burning with blue flames, and flew to the sea. For the rest of the time, Li Wei flew freely on the ocean. When encountering an enemy, Li Wei directly rushed down to fight the enemy and seized the enemy's ability by the way. Li Wei's purpose of coming to Pirate World this time has been completely accomplished, so Li Wei will be very leisurely and casual for the rest of the time. Because there is no gain, it is not particularly important to Li Wei now. For Li Wei, the remaining time is more like a leisure vacation and time to practice ability. Time passed slowly, and when the countdown was over, Li Wei disappeared. Leave the world of pirates directly and return to the world of Marvel. Chapter 48 Sky in the form of a nine-tailed fox. Previous chapter list next chapter. Marvel World. Villa. At the location of the bedroom, a dazzling light appeared, and there was a ripple in the space. A Chinese man with black hair and black eyes slowly walked out of the void. This is Li Wei returning to the Marvel World. After getting the phoenix fruit, Li Wei stayed in the pirate world for one more day to practice his ability. It was not until time was completely exhausted that Li Wei returned to the Marvel World. Li Wei, is that you? Welcome home. Sky happily came to Li Wei's room. After seeing Li Wei, he happily rushed to Li Wei and gave Li Wei a big hug. During this time, she became more and more familiar with the ability of shockwave, and she could even feel the fluctuation of shock. So as soon as Li Wei returned to the Marvel World, Sky felt the fluctuations in Li Wei's bedroom and hurried over. I'm back, Sky. Has anything happened in the past few days since I left? After hugging Sky for a while, Li Wei let go of the softness in his arms, looked at Sky and said, to be honest, the flow of time in the Marvel world and other worlds seems to be somewhat different. Li Wei has been in Pirate World for more than 9 days, but in the Marvel world, it seems that only 4 or 5 days have passed. The time flow rate between the two is almost, about. For this question, Li Wei also asked the anchor spirit to find out the specific situation. However, according to the news returned by the anchor spirit, it seems that this is related to their respective world rules. In other words, in different worlds, the flow rate of time may be different. Maybe he will invade a world in the future and stay in that world for a long time, but after returning to the Marvel world, only a few hours have passed. It's definitely, for Li Wei, there are still some benefits. At least he doesn't need to worry about spending too much time in other worlds, thereby delaying things in the Marvel world. Even more, according to the description of the anchor spirit, wait for the level of the world anchor to rise to a certain level. Maybe, the anchor of the world can also interfere with the rules of other worlds, thereby affecting and controlling the flow of time in other worlds. If that was the case, it would really be against the sky. But these are things for the future. Li Wei still needs to practice with peace of mind now. The past few days have been very quiet, nothing major has happened. By the way, Mr. Tony has contacted twice, and it seems that something is looking for you. Sky seemed to think of something, and quickly said to Li Wei. In the past few days, Stark has contacted this side twice, and it seems that there is something to discuss with Li Wei. Tony came to me, I see. Li Wei nodded slightly, but didn't care too much. When things on his side are settled, he will go there. Sky, you practice ability these days, how is your body burden? Li Wei asked about Sky. As super ability gets stronger, can Sky's body still be able to afford it? My bones seem to have some problems. But Friday has already helped me buy some bone-enhancing drugs, and there will be no problems. Sky was slightly bitter. Before, she wanted to get stronger so that she could help Li Wei. As a result, she did not expect that her super ability burden would be so great that it would even hurt her body. If you continue to exercise, it is likely to leave serious internal injuries to her body. However, Sky quickly retorted, saying that the smart housekeeper had helped her on Friday by buying some bone-enhancing drugs, so that Li Wei was relieved. Because Sky doesn't want to give up his ability. Only when she becomes stronger can she keep up with Li Wei. I can't do anything, I can only hide behind Li Wei. This is not what Sky wants to see. Don't worry, I have found a solution. Li Wei said with a smile, and directly took out the fruit of the nine-tailed fox. This fruit is a bit special. It allows you to gain the power of a nine-tailed fox and become a nine-tailed fox. It can strengthen your physique and reduce the burden on you by the shock wave. Li Wei quickly said about the ability of the nine-tailed fox fruit. The more he talked, the brighter Sky's eyes became, and his heart was very excited. I am willing to eat this fruit. Without even the slightest hesitation, or even doubting the origin of this mysterious fruit, Sky nodded repeatedly. Because she absolutely believed in Li Wei, as long as Li Wei said, she would not doubt it. Li Wei nodded slightly and handed the nine-tailed fox fruit to Sky directly. Sky took a bite and ate the fruit of the nine-tailed fox. In a moment, Sky's body changed. Several long fox tails grew from behind Sky, and a pair of cute furry fox ears grew out, and the eyes turned into golden eyes. There seemed to be ripples in the eyes, and the body became even more fiery. Burst. It can be said that the original Sky belonged to a typical Oriental woman with a hint of heroism. But after transforming into a nine-tailed fox, Sky's temperament has undergone earth-shaking changes, becoming more beautiful, charming, charming, charming. Unlike Katarina Depin, Katarina's nine-tailed fox is violent and fierce, while Sky is beautiful, charming, charming, and charming, as if it has become a charm, and life. Sudaji. With a frown and a smile, they exude amazing charm. Li Wei was a little surprised, admiring Sky's changes. There is no doubt that this change makes Li Wei very satisfied. At the moment, Sky, both in appearance and temperament, is very much like a character from a previous game, that is, Ali of LL. Li Wei, do you like it? Sky looked at Li Wei expectantly, and she found that Li Wei seemed to like her very much. Very good look. Li Wei nodded slightly, admiring Sky's appearance. Then do you want to do something special? Sky approached Li Wei, wrapped his arms around Li Wei, and looked at Li Wei obsessively, with a faint mist in his eyes. Not only did Sky's temperament change, but it seemed that even his personality changed slightly and became bolder. Regarding this, Li Wei did not refuse, but directly picked up Sky and walked inside. Sky seemed to know what would happen next, but he did not refuse in the slightest. A blush appeared on his cheeks, and he buried his head in Li Wei's arms and let Li Wei hold it, because she had given her heart to Li Wei a long time ago. The door was closed, concealing all the beautiful scenery. But one thing is certain, after today, the relationship between the two will go even further. Chapter 49 A Windfall, Top 2 Color Domineering. Previous chapter list next chapter. Villa. In the master bedroom, Li Wei leaned on the white pillows and rested on the couch. At the position next to Li Wei, Sky, who was overworked, had already fallen asleep. Although Sky's physique has greatly increased after eating the fruit of the nine-tailed fox, there is still a big gap compared with Li Wei. After all, Li Wei has the shocking power of shock fruit, the speed-blessed Momo fruit, and the restorative phoenix fruit, which completely crushes Sky in strength. So Sky was defeated and surrendered early, at the moment he was sleeping, recuperating. Because of the ability of the phoenix fruit, Li Wei quickly recovered his physical strength and was full of energy, so at the moment, he didn't have the mind to rest at all. Taking advantage of this time, Li Wei let the spirit enter his mind, visualizing the anchor of the world and sorting out his own situation. Host, Li Wei Stark. Ability, Shock Fruit, Momo Fruit, Phoenix Fruit, Top Armament Haki, Top Observation Haki. World Anchor Level, Gold. Origin of the World, Recorded Coordinates, One Piece World. At the moment, Li Wei already owns 3 devil fruits, and these 3 devil fruits have their own specialties. Shock Fruit belongs to the ability of the offensive category, which can burst out a powerful offensive power. Momo Fruit belongs to the auxiliary category of ability, which can provide speed and other increases. The Phoenix Fruit belongs to the healing category of ability, which can heal various injuries and give Li Wei a strong physique. It can be said that Li Wei's 3 Devil Fruit ability correspond to various aspects of ability and make up for Li Wei's shortcomings. The current Li Wei is basically an all-around fighter, and he won't have any obvious shortcomings. This is why Li Wei chose these 3 abilities. He is not looting ability indiscriminately, but taking it in a planned way, otherwise he would not abandon Bucky's fragmented fruit before choosing Bondi Waldo's Momo fruit. Although there are still some minor flaws, at present, these 3 abilities are the most suitable abilities for Li Wei. Li Wei is very satisfied with this match. As for the top armament haki and the top observation haki, these 2 are regarded as unexpected gains. After getting the phoenix fruit, Li Wei did not immediately return to the Marvel world, but used the remaining time to adventure on the sea. Because of the characteristics of the Lord of Chains and in the New World in the second half of the Great Route, many pirates who understand the 2-color domineering have chosen to take action against Li Wei. Their results are inevitable, all of them are in Li Wei's hands. Because of this, Li Wei used the illusory anchor to capture some observation Haki and armament Haki's light group from these attacked pirates. As the accumulation becomes more the quantity, the qualitative change will happen. These two color domineering light groups integrate with each other. Metamorphosis has become the top observation Haki, and the top armament Haki. For this reason, Li Wei at the moment has these two abilities. Top-notch observation Haki, top armament Haki. Observation Haki is a sensing type ability, which can sense the position and number of enemies outside the field of vision, as well as the actions that the opponent will take in the next moment. The top observation Haki can also predict some future clips. Not to mention armament Haki, originally owned by Li Wei, can evolve into attack power and invisible armor, and can also be wrapped around weapons to strengthen attack power. The top armament Haki is called Ryu Sakura, and it can also break into the human body and cause damage. It can be said that these two abilities are very practical forces and can bring some help to Li Wei. So accidentally got top 2 color domineering, and Li Wei was also very happy. 3 different types of devil fruit, as well as the top 2 color domineering, this is all Li Wei's current power. But this kind of power is enough to give Li Wei a foothold in this dangerous Marvel world, and even dominate one side. But as far as Li Wei is concerned, he has no idea of dominating. He just wants to improve his strength, so that he has a certain right to speak in the future Marvel world, so that he will not be slaughtered. This is Li Wei's idea and the goal Li Wei strives for. It took a long time for Li Wei to organize his current strength. Leave the couch and put on clothes. Li Wei came to Yoshi and took a cold shower to refresh himself. Then I came to the training room to practice the ability I just got. After a short while, Sky woke up leisurely. As soon as he woke up, Sky wanted to land and prepare food for Li Wei, but was stopped by Li Wei. You take a good rest. If you have anything, just tell it to Friday, and she will do it well. Li Wei asked her to continue to rest, after all, she was a bit overworked before. After everything was arranged, Li Wei came to the garage, drove a sports car, and left the villa directly to the city center. Sky said before that Stark had come to him several times, and it seemed that something was looking for him. Now that his business is over, Li Wei is going to Stark's residence to see what Stark is looking for. Chapter 50 Stark poisoned by palladium. Previous chapter list next chapter. The sports car roared past the street. After spending a little time, Li Wei came to Stark's residence. Opening the door straight in, Li Wei came to the lobby. Hey, my dear cousin, it's been a long time since I saw each other, would you like a drink? Seeing Li Wei's arrival, Stark seemed very happy, holding a glass of vegetable juice in his hand, and seemed to want to invite Li Wei to have a glass. No, I don't like to drink vegetable juice. When did you like this kind of thing? Li Wei quickly blocked Stark's cup, he didn't want to drink this strange thing. Okay, Tony, you are looking for me in such a hurry, what's the matter? Li Wei started straight to the point and asked Stark directly, wanting to know why Stark was so anxious to find him. You know, before Li Wei left, he talked to Stark. As a result, Stark also ran to find him during this period of time, presumably there must be something important. Nothing, just want to give you a gift, Natalie, help me bring that thing. Stark said casually, pressing a button and speaking into the microphone. Soon, a beautiful woman in professional clothes walked into the hall with a document. But when the woman in professional clothes saw Li Wei, her expression was a little stiff. Li Wei's gaze also fell on this woman in professional clothes, slightly surprised. What's wrong, do you know each other? Stark was a little puzzled. He glanced at the woman and Li Wei. How did they feel that they had the same story? It's a half acquaintance. Li Wei smiled lightly. The moment the woman walked in, he recognized the identity of the other party. This woman is S.H.I.E.L.'s high-level agent Natasha Romanov. She also has a better name. Black Widow. Li Wei was a little surprised. He didn't expect Black Widow to come to Stark. Is Black Widow the person Nick Fury said before, sent to protect Stark after all? Because of the previous Hydra matter, Nick Fury said that he would send someone to protect Stark. Li Wei was a little puzzled, but did not entangle on this matter. He directly accepted the file in Black Widow's hand, opened the file and looked at it. Stark Industrial Share Transfer Agreement. Tony, what the hell are you doing? Li Wei frowned slightly and looked directly at Stark. Transfer of shares in Stark Industries. What the hell is Stark doing? Li Wei said before, he doesn't have much interest in Stark Industry. In other words, he does not have much demand for wealth. As long as he guarantees his life needs, he will not worry about this matter. On the other hand, in fact, Howard, Stark's father, left him some shares, and Li Wei is also one of the shareholders of Stark Industries. So Li Wei didn't understand why Stark had to transfer shares to him again. And according to the share recorded in the agreement, this is almost half of Tony Stark's own shares. What is Stark doing, giving out all his shares? Aren't you already an adult? I think in a few years, you may get married, have your own family, and have a career, which may protect your family life. Stark waved his arms wildly, pulling at some messy reasons. Li Wei rolled his eyes. If he believed in Stark's reasons, then it would really be a ghost. Stark must have had difficulties and didn't say anything. He gave out all his shares, just as if he was about to pass away, explaining his last words. Wait, vegetable juice. Black Widow. Last words. A gleam of light flashed in Li Wei's eyes, as if thinking of something. Apart from anything else, Li Wei directly reached out and grabbed Stark's collar and pulled it away. There are traces of dark blue on Stark's neck, as if his blood vessels are dark blue. This is poisoned, palladium arc reactor poisoning, that is, palladium element poisoning. Because of the previous kidnapping, there were bullet fragments in Stark's body, so he needs to mount the arc reactor on his chest all the time. Adsorbent bullet fragments, so as not to hurt his heart. But the core of the arc reactor is palladium. Excessive use of palladium may pollute the human body and cause metal poisoning. According to the normal situation, this process is very slow, but Stark often uses steel battlesuit. You know, the steel battlesuit consumes energy very much, so the Stark process needs to replace the palladium element. After several times, palladium invaded Stark's body and poisoned Stark. You found it, but it's not a big deal. I've been very content in my whole life. There is no regret. You can sign the document. By the way, I also reserved some shares for Little Pepper, and I will help me take care of her more. Stark was slightly embarrassed when Li Wei found out about the poisoning. But Stark pretends to be chic. It seems that life and death is just a small matter. You take care of the Little Pepper. Isn't it just palladium poisoning? It's not that there is no solution. Seeing Stark pretending to be chic, Li Wei rolled his eyes and couldn't help but complain. This guy, he still pretends this time, sometimes he really wants to beat Stark. Chapter 51 Dialogue with Nick Fury. Previous chapter. Chapter list. Next chapter. Where did I pretend? This is reckless. People are about to die. Isn't it good to be free and easy? Wait, what did you just say? There is a solution. Stark said helplessly, but suddenly reacted. What did Li Wei just say? It's not that there is no solution. It's impossible, Li Wei has a way to solve this problem. When I thought of this, Stark looked at Li Wei excitedly, his eyes full of hope. If it can be solved, then he won't have to die. Although Stark is pretending to be free and easy, no one will not be unimpressed when he hears of life. After all, no one does not yearn for the right to life. It's not something difficult to solve. Naturally, there is a solution. Just find a new element that doesn't harm the body. Hearing Li Wei's words, Stark suddenly withered. He had this idea for a long time, but he tried many methods, and it was difficult to find a new element to replace the palladium element. It can be said that Stark basically tried every method that can be thought of, but there is no hope before Stark will give up. Tony, your father has given you the answer long ago. Li Wei looked at Stark and slowly said a word. Stark's question, Li Wei actually has some impressions. If Li Wei didn't guess wrong, this should be the plot of Iron Man 2. As for the solution, it is actually very simple. Howard, Stark's father, once left a design drawing for Stark, which was a design drawing of new elements. It was only due to the backward science and technology that could not be restored, so Howard left it to Stark. What Li Wei is doing now is to point out this matter. If Li Wei remembers correctly, that new element design drawing is the model of the industrial city in the office of the president of Stark Industry. In fact, when seeing Black Widow appear here, Li Wei should guess that this is the plot of Iron Man 2. It was just because he was very busy during this time, so he ignored this matter with his consciousness. After all, in Li Wei's opinion, this matter of Stark is really not a big deal, it is just a trivial matter that can be solved easily. So until now, Li Wei didn't think of this matter. On the other hand, the friendship between Li Wei and Stark can help Stark, and Li Wei will not refuse. What's more, by helping Stark solve the palladium element poisoning in advance and changing the plot of Iron Man 2, Li Wei can also gain some world origins. This is a good thing that kills two birds with one stone, and Li Wei has no reason to refuse. Little Chili, help me bring the model of the city in the president's office. Forget it, I will go and get it myself. After listening to Li Wei telling this story, Stark hurriedly contacted Little Chili and wanted Chili to send the model over. But Stark couldn't wait, put on the steel battle suit and hurried to Stark Industry. Really, just leave me here. Li Wei was a little bit dumbfounded. When Stark started to do things, sometimes he was really anxious, so he left him here, and ran away by himself. Li Wei smiled helplessly, picked up the share transfer agreement just now and threw it directly into the trash can. Then, Li Wei turned around and looked directly at Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. Let's go, Nick Fury sent you over here, what's the matter? Although it is already known that it is the plot of Iron Man 2, Li Wei still has some things to figure out. The chief sent me here, on the one hand to protect Tony Stark. On the other hand, the director suspected that people with Hydra sneaked into Stark Industries and ordered me to come and investigate. Black Widow said helplessly, and said all her intentions. This is her task. To this end, she also specialized in the pseudonym Natalie, lurking to Stark's side, and applying for Stark's assistant. In fact, she has found out about Stark and reported it. According to the above meaning, help Stark when necessary, in exchange for Stark's friendship. As a result, they did not expect that Li Wei would directly solve Stark's crisis as soon as he came, so that they missed the opportunity to show good things to Stark. This makes Black Widow a little helpless. On the other hand, according to the information of S.H.I.E.L.D, the people of Hydra seem to be lurking in the Stark Industry, and Black Widow came to Stark to find out the undercover agent of Hydra. Hydra, so that's it, contact Nick Fury for me, I want to talk to him. Li Wei frowned slightly, then nodded slightly, and said directly to Black Widow. He has something and wants to talk to Nick Fury, just a moment please. Black Widow nodded slightly, turned around and took out a special communicator to report the incident to Nick Fury. After a while, Black Widow came to Li Wei again and took the communicator to Li Wei. Long time no see, Li Wei, I don't know how you have been during this time. Nick Fury's voice came from the communicator. Naturally, I'm doing well, but it's you. Where is the information I want? Li Wei opened the door straight to the point and said directly to Nick Fury. Nick Fury agreed to give Li Wei a copy of Hydra and mutant information. As a result, until now, Li Wei has not seen those materials. The information is already ready, and I will ask Phil Coulson to send it tomorrow. Nick Fury said quickly. He didn't fool Li Wei, but was really ready, but he didn't find Li Wei before, so he didn't send it over. Li Wei nodded, accepting this reason. Then Li Wei asked Nick Fury to learn about the current situation. According to Nick Fury's description, S.H.I.E.L.D. has not yet resolved Hydra. Because Hydra hides too deeply, in addition to these people on the bright side, there are some hidden in the dark. This time, it seems to be a conspiracy brewing, and people have to guard against it. But Li Wei is not worried, because Li Wei will tell them a fact. In the face of absolute power, any conspiracy is useless. Chapter 52 The Iron Man 2 story begins. Previous chapter list next chapter. After chatting with Nick Fury for a while, Li Wei ended the call and returned the communicator to Black Widow. I'm optimistic about the situation on Stark. If you have anything, you can contact me directly. After talking to Black Widow, Li Wei left directly. After all, Stark is busy now, and he has nothing to do here. With this spare time, Li Wei might as well go back to his villa and spend time with Sky. As for Stark's research on new elements, Li Wei has no worries. With Stark's ingenuity, it is almost 100% to research new elements. Stark didn't find new elements before, but he was limited by fixed thinking. Now with Howard's model, Stark's success rate is almost %. I believe that in a few days, Li Wei will be able to see a brand new Iron Man. At that time, Li Wei's steel battlesuit can also usher in an update. New energy, more powerful Mark battlesuit. To be honest, with the ability of Phoenix, Li Wei even has the ability of flying. The help that the steel battlesuit can bring to Li Wei is becoming less and less. But Li Wei didn't plan to use steel battlesuit anymore. After all, mecha is a man's brilliant. Li Wei still likes steel battlesuit very much. In leisure time, wearing a steel battlesuit, soaring in the sky, that feeling is still very cool. After thinking about it for a while, Li Wei withdrew his mind and concentrated on driving. After that, Li Wei came to the research base to see the progress of Dr. Banner. Li Wei summoned Hulk by the way and beat Hulk for a while. After Hulk yelled, the battle ended. After everything was completed, Li Wei returned to the villa. Welcome back, Li Wei, I tried to cook a meal, would you like to try it? As soon as he saw Li Wei coming back, Sky ran out of the kitchen and pulled Li Wei to the kitchen. I have to say that Sky is also wearing an apron, which looks very professional. The corners of Li Wei's mouth twitched a little while looking at the blackened food. It seems that she has no ability in cooking. Try to see how my craft is. This is my first time cooking. Sky looked at Li Wei expectantly, causing Li Wei to numb his scalp. Don't worry, I want to eat something else before eating. Li Wei looked at Sky and said. What is it, is it delicious with my cooking? Sky was a little unhappy, and wanted to know what could be better than her meal. Yes, that's you. Li Wei chuckled, stepped forward and hugged Sky directly. At the moment, Sky only wore an apron. The apron was slightly smaller, matching Sky's concave, convex, and chic figure, which seemed to have a different kind of seduction. Sky flushed, and a pair of cute fox ears couldn't help but jump out. Kitchen, apron, fox ears. All alive. After a battle with Hulk, Li Wei started a new battle. It is this battle that cannot be known to outsiders. In a dark basement, a middle-aged man with long hair, holding a toothpick in his mouth, is on a mechanical table, holding tools in his hand. It seems to be making a circular device. There is a TV hanging on the wall next to it, and there are two videos playing in turn on the screen. One is a video of Li Wei fighting Hulk. The other is a video of Stark falling from the sky wearing a steel battle suit. The long-haired middle-aged man raised his head from time to time, took a look at the video, and then continued to make the circular device seriously. At a certain moment, he succeeded, and the circular device emits a faint beam of light. If Stark or Li Wei were here, they would definitely recognize that this is the crude version of the arc reactor. This middle-aged man is Ivan Vank. He has another one called Roar, Whiplock, or Morn Whip. In order to avenge his father, Ivan Vank successfully created a crude version of the arc reactor. Immediately afterwards, Ivan Vank assembled the prepared electric shock whip with the arc reactor. Crackling! On the electric whip, dazzling arcs flashed out. It is foreseeable that if you are beaten by such an electric shock, you will lose a layer of skin if you don't die. After that, Ivan Vank set off directly, ready to start his revenge. The story of Iron Man 2 has officially begun. Regarding Ivan Vank's matter, Li Wei is not very clear. After the battle with Sky, Sky was overwhelmed and fell asleep. Only then did Li Wei avoid the opportunity to try Sky's dark cooking. In the morning of the next day, Phil Coulson arrived on time and, as ordered by Nick Fury, handed over the information of Hydra and Mutant to Li Wei. After dismissing Phil Coulson, Li Wei came to the lobby to study the information. Li Wei generally knows the situation of Hydra. In addition to the more famous bosses, there are also a few smaller bosses. However, this Hydra information brought by Phil Coulson is actually not complete, and there are many undocumented characters. As far as Li Wei knows of Hydra characters, there are a few that I haven't seen on the data. I don't know if they were hidden deeply, weren't discovered by S.H.I.E.L.D, or Nick Fury didn't take it out. But this is also normal. Li Wei doesn't think that he has only had a few contacts with the director of the Salted Egg, and he will trust himself unreservedly after making a transaction. If this is the case, maybe he has to change his evaluation of Nick Fury. It seems that we have to find a chance to get these guys hiding in the ditch out and destroy them all at once. Looking at Hydra's information, Li Wei whispered and said a word slowly. Chapter 53 Mutant Plot Changes. Previous chapter. Chapter list. Next chapter. Although in Li Wei's opinion, Hydra is just a mouse hiding in the gutter, it can be trampled to death with one foot, there is no need to bother. But this mouse has been hiding in the dark, staring at you all the time, and constantly wanting to calculate you. This is not a good thing. So Li Wei was going to find an opportunity to pull out this little mouse, and then trample it to death, not to give it a chance to stir the wind and the rain. After all, even if it is a mouse, only if it is dead, it has no chance to do bad things. Mutants information, I don't know if it can surprise me. After thinking about Hydra, Li Wei put down the Hydra information, temporarily put down the Hydra matter, and looked at the remaining information. This is mutant's information, and it is also the information that Li Wei values more. Because mutant is a big plot branch in the Marvel world, it can even be taken out and filmed into an independent film series, which shows that mutant is special. It can be said that if it is operated properly, Li Wei may be able to obtain a large amount of world origin from mutant. For this reason, Li Wei values mutant far more than Hydra. Professor X's X-Men, Mutant, Wolverine, Mystique, Storm. Seems a bit messy. The more I watched, Li Wei's brows frowned. Because Li Wei found a problem, the path of mutant development in this world seems to be a bit wrong. Professor X's X-Men still exists, but Wolverine did not join X-Men, and there is no Storm. It can be said that the plot of mutant has changed a lot. In fact, Li Wei knew one thing before, that this world is not a pure Marvel movie universe. Because there is no mutant in the movie universe, but there is mutant in this world. And now, it seems that mutant's plot has been disrupted. It seems that this world is a situation where the Marvel movie universe is the mainstay, the X-Men plot is the supplement, and the mutant group is integrated. According to the information, Mystique had attempted to assassinate Bolivar Trask, and Bolivar Trask was imprisoned, so mutant's plot should be reversed after the future. But one key figure has not yet appeared. Apocalypse. Apocalypse hasn't appeared yet, so Storm hasn't joined X-Men yet, that's normal. Li Wei murmured, thinking about the changes inside. In other words, now is after reversing the future, but it has not yet reached the stage of Apocalypse's awakening. Apocalypse's timeline has been postponed, and that's roughly it. Although it was a little messy, Li Wei quickly sorted out the situation that appeared. That being the case, it will be much easier in the future. Master, Mr. Stark sent a message saying that he has found a new element and would like to invite you over. The voice of the smart housekeeper on Friday sounded, conveying Stark's message. In a day or so, Stark researched new elements. I have to say that Stark's speed is really fast. I see, Friday, take care of Sky. Li Wei said to Friday, and then left the villa directly to Stark's residence. After a while, Li Wei came to Stark's residence. At the moment, Stark's residence has been changed into a strange appearance by Stark. Some pipes are erected in the hall, like an experimental platform. Hello Mr. Li Wei. A middle-aged, honest man with glasses and a white coat greeted Li Wei with roar. This is Dr. Banner. Dr. Banner was also called by Stark to help him complete the experiment of the new element. It is precisely because of the help of Dr. Banner that Stark can complete the positioning and calculation of various data so quickly, and directly start the experiment. Li Wei nodded slightly, and after making a call to roar with the two of them, Li Wei sat down directly next to him. After all, Li Wei is not a researcher, so it's better not to intervene, just watch by the side. Okay, the data is calculated, just follow the steps. Stark said. The two of them said, directly start the experiment. The instrument was activated, and dazzling laser beams appeared, and along with the transfer of the instrument, they slowly converged to a point. Seeing that it was about to succeed, at this moment, there was a loud noise outside the villa. Boom! Alarm! Alarm! There is an intrusion by an unknown person. The voice of Stark's smart housekeeper J.A.R.V.I.S. appeared, and an alarm sounded. Damn it, who is it? It's almost a bit. Stark is about to vomit blood, only a little bit before the birth of the new element, and now someone is actually destroying it. Stark tore his heart out. The same is true of Dr. Banner, his face is very ugly. You know, the calculation of this new element's data also has half of his credit, and he also wants to see the birth of the new element. As a result, he was ruined by others. How could his mood be better? It can be said that if it weren't for Li Wei's training to Hulk before, Hulk would be a little better. Maybe at this time, Hulk will jump out. Go on, I'll go out and have a look. Li Wei stood up and said to the two of them. It seems that only he, an idler, has the time to deal with this matter. Thinking of this, under the grateful gazes of Stark and Dr. Banner, Li Wei came directly to the gate. Li Wei could see that a middle-aged man with a circular light-emitting device in front of his chest and two electric shock whips in his hands broke in directly. The whiplock is coming. Chapter 54 Conspiracy to Lash Ivan Vank. Previous chapter. Chapter list. Next chapter. Arc reactor. Electric shock whip. This is a whiplock. Standing inside the gate, Li Wei looked at the peculiar shape of the man attacking the defensive project outside the gate. Li Wei immediately guessed the identity of the opponent. If he guessed correctly, this should be the villain in Iron Man 2, Lashing Ivan Vank. As for why Li Wei immediately guessed the identity of the other party. Yesterday, after learning about Stark's palladium element poisoning, Li Wei knew that the story of Iron Man 2 was about to begin, so he recalled the story a little bit. For this reason, when he saw the whiplash Ivan Vank, Li Wei immediately recognized the identity of the opponent. But this guy, how could he come here? Li Wei remembered that the first conflict between the Whiplock and Stark should be on a racing track. In fact, because Li Wei told Stark ahead of time about the solution to palladium element poisoning, Stark immediately cancelled all the trips and just studied the new element. For this reason, Whiplock Ivan Vank came to his door. I have watched your video. You are Li Wei Stark, Tony Stark's cousin. Since it is related to that guy, then die for me. The Whiplock Ivan Vank glanced at Li Wei slyly, his eyes rolled, revealing a sullen grin, and he flicked the electric whip in his hand and slapped Li Wei. Crackling. Carrying a very high-voltage electric shock whip, it made a crackling sound, like a poisonous snake, attacking Li Wei. It is foreseeable that once you are hit by this electric whip, it will be a trivial matter. In the original book, the electric shock whip of the Whiplock, even the racing car is directly broken. The body of an ordinary person is estimated to be able to be cut directly at the waist. However, Li Wei looked indifferent and calm, with his hands wrapped around a layer of armament haki, and directly grabbed the electric whip coming from the attack. Armed and hardened. Tear. The electric whip was instantly caught by Li Wei, making a burst of crackling noises. But Li Wei's arm is like an iron arm, without even the slightest scar, so Ivan Vank's eyes are about to jump out. How can this be? He knew how terrifying the power of his electric whip was. As a result, in Li Wei's hands, his electric whip is almost no different from a straw rope. Ivan Vank wondered if he took the wrong whip. However, Li Wei will not give him a chance to think slowly. Yanked. Ivan Vank was dragged over by Li Wei. The next moment, Li Wei volleyed and kicked directly into Ivan Vank's abdomen. Boom! Ivan Vank's body hit the wall hard, knocking out a big hole in the wall. Ivan Vank was seriously injured in an instant, and the blood was bleeding, and his mouth was full of blood. One strike. Li Wei directly injured Ivan Vank with the whiplash. And it was only used for armament haki, Devil Fruit's ability, and Li Wei did not use it. Because against such a small person, Li Wei does not need to use other power. Ha 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 ha, you will all lose. However, Whiplash Ivan Vank did not have the slightest anger or resentment. Instead, he laughed, as if he had won. Whiplash Ivan Vank laughed wanton, blood flowing out of his mouth frantically, but Whiplash Ivan Vank didn't care at all. Interesting, a little clever, do you want to use my fame, but you miscalculated a bit. Turning his eyes slightly, Li Wei glanced at Ivan Vank, who had already guessed his thoughts in his heart. Ivan Vank just said that he has watched Li Wei's video, and there is only one video that Li Wei circulated outside, and that is the video of Li Wei fighting Hulk. Now that I know the video, Ivan Vank should know that I can't beat Li Wei. But under such circumstances, he still launches an attack on Li Wei now. There is only one reason. Whiplock is planning to publicize this matter. To be precise, he intends to use Li Wei's fame to promote his possession of the arc reactor to the outside world. This is related to a very nonsense question. Stark has actually been pulling with the official for this period of time. Because officials have also seen the potential of the steel battle suit, they hope that Stark will hand in this technology in the name of protecting world peace. Stark naturally refused to agree, and claimed that no one except him can master this technology. The battle suit is safe in his hands and will not fall into the wrong hands. At this time, if there is someone who also controls this technology, then this person will get huge amounts of attention and benefit. This person is Ivan Vank. This is why Ivan Vank chose to attack Li Wei. Because Li Wei is more famous than Stark. This is the great fame brought by the previous battle between Li Wei and Hulk. Although Li Wei doesn't care much, that's the truth. Ivan Vank wants to use Li Wei's fame to make this matter a big deal, so as to obtain huge amounts of benefits in this matter. Chapter 55 Set up Hydra. Previous chapter list next chapter. Li Wei's guesses that 9 are inseparable from 10. Ivan Vank chose to attack Li Wei, really wanting to take advantage of Li Wei's reputation. In the original book, because of the attack on Stark, Ivan Vank did get huge amounts of benefits. Although he was imprisoned at the beginning, Ivan Vank used the rival of Stark Industries, Justin Hammer's Hanmer Industries, to develop his armor. Even Ivan Vank got an army of steel armor, which caused a disaster. It can be said that this is the conspiracy of Ivan Vank. What do you mean? What did I miscalculate? Ivan Vank's face became stiff, and he looked at Li Wei in shock. He didn't expect that Li Wei could only see his thoughts in a short time. But what Ivan Vank wants to know more now is what he miscalculated. His conspiracy, or arrogance, is not wrong at all. There is only one thing you miscalculated. No matter what conspiracy, in the final analysis, only living people can do it. Dead man can't do anything. Li Wei said lightly, telling the iron-blooded truth. He once said that in the face of absolute power, all conspiracies and tricks are of no use. In Ivan Vank's panic gaze, Li Wei's palm slowly came to the top of Ivan Vank's head. No, no, you can't kill me, you can't do this. Ivan Vank panicked completely, he already saw Li Wei's purpose. This lunatic wants to kill him. He didn't expect Li Wei to be so decisive and cruel, he didn't even consider the impact of this incident and wanted to kill him directly. Is this guy a lunatic? Doesn't he need to think about Stark Industries? Ivan Vank has a trace of regret in his heart. If he chooses to attack Tony Stark, maybe his plan will succeed. However, Li Wei would not give him this opportunity at all. Take a picture. Li Wei using armament haki directly smashed Ivan Vank's head. Ivan Vank's arm slowly dropped to the ground, and his breath slowly dissipated. So, why should it be so complicated for such a simple thing? Li Wei murmured. Sometimes Li Wei wanted to complain about the situation in Iron Man 2. If Stark eliminated Ivan Vank at the very beginning, there would be no trouble in the future. It's definitely, and Li Wei also knows that with Stark's personality, he can't do such a thing. But Li Wei succeeded, because for Li Wei, the result is the most important. As for the impact of Ivan Vank's incident, it is actually very easy to resolve. Natasha Romanoff, contact Nick Fury, I want to talk to Nick Fury. Li Wei turned his head directly and said to a pillar next to him. After the silence, Natasha Romanoff slowly walked out from behind the pillar and came to Li Wei. How do you know I am here? Black Widow was a little confused, and didn't know how Li Wei saw through her disguise. In fact, in Li Wei's observation Haki induction, he had already sensed the breath of Black Widow, but he didn't say anything about it just now. Li Wei smiled lightly, looked at Black Widow quietly, and did not reply to Black Widow's words. Natasha Romanoff had no choice but to contact Nick Fury and report the incident to Nick Fury. Mr. Li Wei, do you have anything to do this time? Nick Fury's voice came from Black Widow's communicator. Natasha Romanoff has already told you about the situation here, and help me deal with the consequences of this matter. Li Wei straightforwardly said to Nick Fury. With the ability of S.H.I.E.L.D, dealing with the impact of an Yvonne Vank is not too simple, so Li Wei is ready to let Nick Fury take the shot. Li Wei, S.H.I.E.L.D is not specifically to help you clean up trivial matters. On the opposite side of the phone, Nick Fury was full of black lines and his face was dark. No matter what happened before, but Li Wei repeatedly asked them to do things, almost treating them as workers who deal with trivial matters. This is what S.H.I.E.L.D is he Li Wei's private logistics unit. You know, S.H.I.E.L.D and Hydra's troubles have not been dealt with. He doesn't want to waste too much time on these trivial matters. Definitely not, but this is a great opportunity. Nick Fury, do you want to draw out that group of underground rats? Li Wei smiled calmly, and said a word slowly. He asked S.H.I.E.L.D to deal with this matter, and he did not do it at will, he still had some considerations. As Yvonne Vank thought, the technology he mastered is really attractive. The arc reactor, a reduced fusion energy source, is enough to supply the energy use of an area. This is a terrible thing. Someone once said that it is impossible to develop such a technology in 50 years, or even 100 years. This is where Stark and the official have confidence in choking. It is also because of this that Yvonne Vank has this self-confidence, believing that he has huge amounts of value, making people hiding in the dark crazy. But it's so attractive, even Hydra, who is hiding in the dark, may be attracted to it. What Li Wei wants to do is to bring out the people from Hydra, then follow the vines and kill these Hydra all at once. This is what Li Wei thought before. Find an opportunity to pull out Hydra hiding in the dark, and then crush it to death. And now, this opportunity is here. What happened to Yvonne Vank is a great opportunity. Chapter 56 Set up the game, lead the snake out of the hole. Previous chapter list next chapter. That's it, I promised. After figuring out what Li Wei meant, Nick Fury pondered for a long time. But it didn't take long for Nick Fury to make a decision. He agreed. He is willing to cooperate with Li Wei again. No one, because for S.H.I.E.L.D, Hydra is an eternal enemy. As long as there is a chance to hit the opponent, Nick Fury will not give up. The most important point is that the person who proposed this plan is Li Wei. Having experienced those things before, now Nick Fury has a lot of trust in Li Wei. In the battle with Hulk, Li Wei showed such a powerful force as a god. In the last transaction, Li Wei directly exposed Hydra's conspiracy, allowing S.H.I.E.L.D to reduce a lot of losses. These two things proved that Li Wei possessed enough power and resourcefulness. So Nick Fury believes that if Hydra meets Li Wei, it will also suffer a big loss. For this reason, after a little consideration, Nick Fury made a decision and planned to cooperate with Li Wei again. In the future, you will find that you have made the best choice. Happy cooperation. Li Wei smiled lightly, and after hanging up the communicator, he returned it to Black Widow and told Black Widow of the detailed plan. For the rest, just do what I said. Li Wei looked at Black Widow and said, gave some explanation of the plan and asked Black Widow to take it back to Nick Fury. This is inevitable, although Li Wei and Nick Fury made a verbal agreement in the communicator. But some more detailed plans are naturally impossible to tell in the communicator. After all, the communicator is a technological product and is in danger of being deciphered. There are not many other things in the Marvel world, and technological geniuses are simply emerging. Even if the S.H.I.E.L.D. communicator is encrypted with multiple layers, there is still the possibility of leakage. So Li Wei just gave Black Widow a verbal description, and asked Black Widow to bring back the detailed plan to Nick Fury. This is why Nick Fury agreed to cooperate with Li Wei, but did not mention the detailed plan at all. There are some things that cannot be said in the communicator. If they are said, they will be leaked. I see, I will take it back to the director. Black Widow took a careful note, then nodded slightly. As the liaison between Li Wei and Nick Fury, Black Widow is expected to get busy next. After that, Black Widow took the body of Yvonne Vank away and prepared to bring it back to the layout. Li Wei ignored this incident and returned to Stark's villa. Ha 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 ha, finally succeeded, we finally got the new element out. As soon as he walked into the hall, Li Wei heard Stark's laughter. Walking directly in, Li Wei looked at the experimental platform in the middle of the hall, with the triangular luminous body. This is the aggregation of new elements. The new element was finally figured out by Stark and Dr. Banner. In this way, all Stark's worries will be solved without any trouble. For this reason, Li Wei is naturally happy for Stark. However, the Stark of at the moment is very high in nature, and even wants to win the pursuit, upgrade the steel battle suit, and create a new battle suit that meets the new elements. Naturally, Li Wei was speechless and didn't bother about it. Anyway, the new elements have been worked out and Stark's problem has been solved. Li Wei didn't bother to pay attention to Stark and let him do it himself. After all, next to Stark, there is a little Pepper staring at him. Don't worry about anything. Thinking of this, Li Wei left directly and returned to his residence to be with Sky. After all, the two are just getting on, it's time to get bored. A few days later, a gossip appeared on the internet. It seems that there is a genius scientist from the country who has reproduced Iron Man's arc reactor and reproduced the style of Iron Man. Suddenly, some special areas suddenly became lively. I heard that someone built the arc reactor. Is this true or false? Impossible, this is the masterpiece of that Stark. How can it be done without decades of time? According to reliable sources, this matter is true. Someone has seen it with their own eyes. An employee of Stark Industries who didn't want to disclose the name said that the guy hit the door and was taken down. It is said that the person who made the arc reactor was also one of Stark's partners. If this is the case, maybe it is really possible. If someone really builds the arc reactor, doesn't it mean that the steel battle suit is no longer the patent of Tony Stark? Impossible, apart from the genius of Stark, how could anyone else be able to build an arc reactor? I don't believe it. I really want to see the day when someone else uses the arc reactor. This news is only a gossip, it only spreads among some special groups of people, and ordinary people don't even know this news. Although many people have been talking about it, no one has found the source of the news. It seems that it is really just chasing after the wind, without much credibility. But it was such an unreliable gossip that made many people notice this incident and secretly launched an investigation. After all, if the news is true, then something will really happen. No one can refuse the huge benefits brought by the arc reactor. That is something that can subvert the world pattern. No one can refuse such temptation. Even if the truth of the news is not high, they have to try it. On the other hand, among these investigators, one of the poisonous snakes also moved. The game between Li Wei and Nick Fury officially began. And their prey is also walking into the trap step by step. Chapter 57 Yang Mu from Li Wei. Previous chapter list next chapter. Marvel World. In an inconspicuous building, the evacuated sunlight fell, making the house seem bright and dark. Inside the room, several figures dressed in black, sitting around a round table, seemed to be discussing something. What do you think about that matter? I think it's fake. It's impossible for Tony Stark to let this happen. But this news is still somewhat authentic. Someone confirmed that someone did attack Stark's residence that day. If it is true, if it can be obtained, it will be a great help, and it may affect the current situation. Whether it is true or not, it needs to be investigated. Start the Dark Child in the Bureau and let them investigate it. Yes, I agree. Whether it is true or false, it needs to be investigated before a conclusion can be drawn. Several figures in black, with one word, said the news that had been leaked before. If Li Wei or Nick Fury are here, you can guess that these are the Hydra bosses they are looking for, or the bosses of this Hydra. Because of the news sent before, these guys are a little interested. It's definitely, and they guessed that this matter might be false. But the technology of fusion energy is really eye-catching. Although they know there are certain risks, they still want to try it. As for the so-called hidden pieces, they are exactly the pieces they inserted in S.H.I.E.L.D. Although Crossbones, Pierce, and others have been exposed, there are still some Hydra members who have been hidden deeper and have not yet been exposed. What they want to do now is to let these undisclosed dark children investigate the truth of the matter. It can be said that things are as expected by Li Wei. These Hydra are walking into the trap he set step by step. S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, a shameless S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, slowly came to the morgue, seemingly looking for something. This is exactly the hidden child Hydra buried in SHIELD. After receiving the above news, Anza went to the morgue of S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters to search for information. Because 2 days ago, Black Widow came back with the body of Yvonne Vank with a whiplash, there was not much cover-up, and it was noticed by some people. It can be said that the body of Whiplash Yvonne Vank is in SHIELD. This is not a big secret. After a while, Anza walked out of the door of the morgue again. There was already something in his trouser pocket. That is a crude version of the arc reactor. The body of the Whiplash Yvonne Vank has not been disposed of yet, and the crude version of the arc reactor he made is still on the chest of the Whiplash Yvonne Vank. So Anza easily found the arc reactor and left him out. After spending some time, after layers of secret whistle, Anza finally left the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. It's just that Anza didn't expect that his every move would fall into the eyes of some Nick Fury. After all, this was originally the game set by Li Wei and Nick Fury. How could you not stare at it? Find a place where no one noticed. Anza directly took out a special communicator and sent a message. Find an arc reactor. After confirmation, this arc reactor is genuine. This is reporting information to it. In the distant building, several Hydra bosses were shocked when they got the news from their subordinates. That rumor is actually true, it's really an arc reactor. How is this possible, Nick Fury and Tony Stark, what the hell are they doing? No, there must be a conspiracy in it. Even if there is a conspiracy, I must bring that thing back. The Hydra leaders talked a lot, and they seemed to be very excited. Originally they thought that the rumor was false and not a real thing. As a result, they didn't expect that their dark child actually found the arc reactor. Doesn't this mean that the matter is true? That's why they are so excited. Move. An intact arc reactor, even if there is no specific data, but as long as it is given to their scientific researchers, they may be able to study something important. If you can really restore the arc reactor, then you will make a lot of money. It's definitely, they guessed that this matter was a conspiracy. But even so, they cannot give up the arc reactor. No way, the value of the arc reactor is there, as long as it can be captured, it is earned. You know, Iron Man's steel battlesuit is mainly composed of two parts, one is the arc reactor as an energy source, and the other is Stark's smart butler JARVIS. As for the outer shell of the battlesuit, it is not the most important thing. However, as long as there is an arc reactor, huge amounts of mecha weapons can be produced. Just like the mecha developed by Yvonne Vank and Stark's Mark I, there is no smart butler. It can be said that the essence of the steel battlesuit is the arc reactor. This can be seen, the importance of the arc reactor. So even if they don't want to take a risk, they have to take this risk. It can be said that this matter is no longer a conspiracy, but a conspiracy. Yang Mu from Li Wei. The thing is here, it depends on whether you dare to come over and get it. This is just like Yvonne Vank before. His attack on Li Wei is also considered a conspiracy. Because of his small calculations, he couldn't hide his intentions at all, but he just dared to launch an attack on Li Wei for the follow-up impact. Unfortunately, the person he met was Li Wei. And what Li Wei is best at is not playing cards according to common sense, and directly squeezing Yvonne Vank to death. Now, the bosses of Hydra have also encountered this situation. No matter what the price is paid, the arc reactor must be sent back. The bosses of Hydra soon made a decision. They chose the arc reactor. Chapter 58 Found Hydra Lair. Previous chapter list next chapter. An unexpected character came to Li Wei's villa. The bitter man Nick Fury came to Li Wei's residence for the second time. Li Wei, the poisonous snake has gone out of its hole. Nick Fury was a little pleased and said to Li Wei. He came here specifically to tell Li Wei the progress of the previous plan, that is, the matter of designing Hydra. Regarding the plan to elicit Hydra, Li Wei only proposed his plan. As for the specific actions, Li Wei did not participate in it and left it to Nick Fury to arrange. Because Li Wei believes that Nick Fury can do it. After all, Nick Fury is not a simple character, he has been dealing with conspiracies and tricks before, and he is just an old fox. What's more, Li Wei felt that even if he didn't offer this opportunity, Nick Fury might cheat Hydra. It's definitely. With Nick Fury's cautious personality, he won't make a move without certainty. Perhaps by the time he gets his hands on Hydra, it is estimated that there will still be a long time. So Li Wei's contribution to the flames is also very useful. In fact, the same is true. But in this matter, Nick Fury did a great job. Now the Hydra side can't bear it, ready to send away the crude version of the arc reactor. I see, let your trusted subordinates stare more, and when you find their lair, just tell me. Li Wei waved his hand and said to Nick Fury. It's definitely, Hydra is not stupid either. According to Li Wei's budget, it is estimated that many things will happen during this transportation process. Hydra estimates that it will cause a lot of confusing behaviors, for example, dropping things, letting the subordinates act separately, confuses the audience and so on. A series of 10-turn operations on the mountain road is to disturb the sight of S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, although Hydra wants to get the arc reactor, they don't want their lair to be discovered by SHIELD. It can be said that this transportation process will be a game of wits and courage, depending on which party is more capable. Li Wei doesn't have much interest in such a time-consuming and laborious trouble, so let the people from S.H.I.E.L.D. do it. Li Wei believes that with Nick Fury's ability, Hydra will not be fooled. To be honest, although in film and television, Hydra is a cunning party, and it often cheats SHIELD. But that was based on Nick Fury, without knowing them. With Nick Fury's ability, now that they know their existence, it's not so easy to be pitted by them. At this point, Li Wei still believes in Nick Fury. What Li Wei has to do is to wait for the result quietly. Li Wei will not be dispatched until the crude version of the arc reactor really enters the Hydra lair. At that time, it will be their end. Don't worry, I will let one of the strongest agents complete this task, and there will be no mistakes. Nick Fury is very confident and seems to have absolute trust in the strength of the agent in his mouth. In response, Li Wei just nodded slightly without asking too much. After that, Nick Fury left directly and continued to follow up the progress of the plan. As for Li Wei hasn't gone out much during this period and stayed in the villa. On the one hand, he has acquired a lot of abilities some time ago, and he needs to sort them out to integrate these abilities. On the other hand, Li Wei continued to investigate mutants' affairs, so he did not go out. After half a month, Nick Fury sent another news. The poisonous snake was completely hooked and found their nest. Nick Fury's voice is very exciting. Moving. After 2 months of continuous monitoring and investigation, Hydra finally put down its guard and sent the arc reactor to their lair. In other words, their plan finally succeeded. They successfully found Hydra's nest. Next, only need to destroy it in one fell swoop, you can complete the long-cherished wish of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, since World War II that year, the predecessor of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been fighting Hydra, and the two are like rivals. Today, I finally have the opportunity to completely destroy Hydra. This is also a happy event for Nick Fury. That's why Nick Fury couldn't suppress his emotions and became agitated. Good job, tell me where they are. A gleam of light flashed in Li Wei's eyes. The fish has already entered the net, then it should be time to close the net. It's right there, my people are right there. After you get there, you can meet them and they will help you. Nick Fury said quickly, telling the location of Hydra's lair. What's more, Nick Fury also told the people he sent to follow up, hoping to help Li Wei. But before Nick Fury's words were finished, Li Wei cut off the call directly. Because there is no need, he wants to destroy Hydra, one person is enough. Thinking of this, Li Wei walked straight out of the gate and headed directly to the location Nick Fury said. After today, Li Wei wants Hydra to disappear completely on the Earth. Chapter 59 Captain America's Badness. Previous chapter list next chapter. The red and silver steel battlesuit flew quickly across the sky. Just like a spark, it flashed away, and some people hadn't even noticed that the steel battlesuit had already flown over. This is Li Wei who left the villa. After getting news from Nick Fury, Li Wei put on the steel battlesuit and headed directly to Hydra's lair. It's not that Li Wei wants to hide the Phoenix's ability, but Nick Fury gave Li Wei a latitude and longitude coordinate. There is no way for Li Wei to find a place just by relying on latitude and longitude. He also needs to use Friday's calculation of ability to find Hydra's lair, so Li Wei uses the steel battlesuit. In a moment, under the guidance of Friday, Li Wei came to a snow forest area. In a handsome posture, he landed directly on the ground. Observation Haki showed that Li Wei can perceive that there is a hidden base on a hill not far away, which contains a lot of breath of life. That should be the base of Hydra. Not far away, there are already several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents on the ground, waiting for Li Wei's arrival. Mr. Li Wei, you finally came. If you don't come again, the captain will rush in. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, wearing a tight-fitting battle uniform, hurriedly came to Li Wei's side and said helplessly to Li Wei. Because of this matter, Natasha Romanoff also participated in the whole process, so she was also in this tracking team. As for the captain mentioned by Natasha Romanoff, he was a burly man wearing a red, white, and blue star-striped costume and holding a star-shaped circular shield. Captain America Steve Rogers. When he saw this man holding a star-shaped circular shield, Li Wei immediately recognized his identity. No way, the personal characteristics of Captain America are even more obvious than Stark's steel battle suit, you can see it at a glance. It turns out that the strongest agent Nick Fury said before is him, no wonder Black Widow can't hold him down. But did Captain America wake up so early? Li Wei was a little surprised. According to his memory, Captain America shouldn't wake up so quickly, and is it coming to participate in the mission at this time? Is it a bit fast? In fact, this matter still has something to do with Li Wei. Because Li Wei exposed the true face of Hydra in advance, the people of Hydra wanted to take the opportunity to destroy the ice sculpture of Captain America before escaping. No way, Hydra loves and hates the special character Captain America. If they can continue lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D., they may take this opportunity to study Captain America slowly. But since they are going to escape, they will not be indecisive and want to take the opportunity to ruin Captain America's body. As a result, Captain America woke up early due to a blunder. It can be said that this is Li Wei's pot. But this pot is not a bad thing for Li Wei. Because of the changes in the plot, whether it is good or bad, as long as it is related to Li Wei can get some world origins more or less. It can be said that Li Wei is happy to see such a situation happen. In fact, after the third invasion of Pirate World, Li Wei's world origin has been exhausted. But in the past few days, Li Wei has seen the situation of the origin of the world and found that he has accumulated some more. Of course, there are reasons why Li Wei changed the plot of Iron Man 2, but Captain America's early awakening and the establishment of Hydra also allowed Li Wei to harvest a wave of world origins. After all, because of Hydra's early discovery, the plot behind Captain Magnesium 2 has changed drastically. You know, the plot of Captain Magnesium 2 is the process of Hydra who is lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D. doing things and being cleaned up by Captain America one by one. Now that Hydra has been exposed in advance, naturally there is no way to do things. It can be said that the development of many things has begun to drift gradually. It doesn't hurt for Li Wei. After all, looking at the origin of the world, rising a little from time to time, Li Wei still likes the joy of harvest. Can you start, Natasha Romanoff? If you delay too long, the more likely the other party will notice. Captain America frowned, glanced at Li Wei, ignored Li Wei, looked directly at Black Widow and said. Li Wei raised his eyebrows slightly, he could see that Captain America seemed very unhappy with his arrival. This is necessarily the case. Captain America is a soldier, who mainly obeys military orders. However, Li Wei is not a soldier at all, but he can participate in such an important task. How can Captain America trust Li Wei? On the other hand, Hydra is considered Captain America's old enemy, and he has always wanted to wipe out Hydra. After spending so much time and energy, I finally found the nest of Hydra. As a result, they couldn't rush in immediately and wiped out Hydra. Also waste time here, slowly waiting for the arrival of Li Wei. For multiple reasons, how could Captain America have a good impression of Li Wei? If Li Wei were his soldiers, he might have to reprimand Li Wei. As for why Captain America asked Black Widow, because of this task, Nick Fury gave the power to Black Widow instead of being led by him. No way, although Captain America ability is very strong, he has just regained consciousness for a while, and he still doesn't know much about the current world. In order to better complete this task, Nick Fury handed over the command to Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. However, Natasha Romanoff did not give the order immediately, but turned to look at Li Wei. Only Natasha Romanoff knew that the most important person in this matter was not her, but Li Wei, who came later. She has to wait for Li Wei's words before deciding what to do next. Chapter 60 Lessons from Captain America, Enter Hydra's Nest. Previous chapter list next chapter. Natasha Romanoff's expression fell into Captain America's eyes. Captain America's face suddenly froze. The real commander was not Natasha Romanoff, but Li Wei, who came back. Why is this so? Let a layman to command. Captain America's face became ugly, because he didn't trust Li Wei at all. However, Li Wei didn't even watch Captain America, and directly ordered everyone. Start to act. Li Wei said, then walked straight to Hydra's lair. Next, as long as the Hydra lair is destroyed, that's it. Wait, don't you have to make a plan, just rush in blindly? Do you want to lead us to death? Captain America spoke suddenly, looking at Li Wei with a dark face. He is almost fed up with Li Wei. Not only did they want them to wait for him here, but as soon as they arrived, they immediately took command. If so, forget it, but you have to come up with an action plan anyway. You know that is Hydra's lair, it must be full of organs. There is a detailed plan that can greatly improve the efficiency of the operation. But Li Wei didn't say anything, just start to act, and then set off directly to Hydra's lair. What's more, Li Wei didn't even cover up, as if he wanted to show up in front of Hydra. Captain America Steve is almost fed up. Li Wei stopped, turned his head slightly, and glanced at Captain America indifferently. The next moment, Li Wei's figure flashed, and instantly came to Captain America. Captain America's face changed drastically, and he quickly raised the shield, trying to block Li Wei's attack. But Li Wei did not attack Captain America. He just punched the shield and grabbed Captain America's neck with one hand and lifted Captain America. Let me down. Captain America's face flushed, but there was a hint of shock in his pupils. The power of this guy is too great. Hit his shield with one punch, and even grab him with one hand. It is hard to believe that such power can burst out of Li Wei's body. First of all, don't use your old worldview to measure other people, especially me. Second, I am not your soldier, don't use your style to face me. Third, old people should look like old people. If you don't want to work, just go back. It's enough to have me here. Captain America is not happy with Li Wei. Does Li Wei still need to show him a good face? So Li Wei directly reprimanded Captain America. What's more, he and Nick Fury are only a cooperative relationship, and Captain America is now only an agent of SHIELD. Is it qualified to be in front of him? Captain America was speechless and wanted to refute, but couldn't speak. Li Wei didn't bother to pay attention to Captain America, and threw him on the ground like trash, and without looking back, walked directly to Hydra's base. "Captain, why are you, he and we are not from the same world?" Natasha Romanoff came to Captain America and said helplessly to Captain America. Captain America has just awakened for a short time, and is not familiar with the current world, but has been acting with the concepts of the past. Captain America didn't know, the world had changed a long time ago, and it was not the world he knew. If it weren't for Li Wei not in the mood to pay attention to him now, maybe he would give Captain America a lesson. Li Wei didn't hide it at all, walked directly to Hydra's lair, and soon came to the front of the gate. "Stop, this is a private domain, leave here immediately." The scout picked up the gun and wanted to drive Li Wei away. But Li Wei was unmoved, and directly took out a pistol of special quality. Momo times gun. With a bang, the bullet came out. The bullet changed instantly and turned into a huge bullet with a diameter of more than 1 meter. This pistol was a small toy that Dr. Banner remodeled when Li Wei had nothing to do some time ago, and it was used to match Momokuo's ability. The huge bullet is like a meteorite, carrying terrifying kinetic energy, and blasting towards the gate of the base fiercely. With a loud bang, the huge bullet smashed the gate of the base in an instant. What's more, the huge bomb was unstoppable, and it blasted directly into the depths of the Hydra base, destroying every defensive project. When the sound disappeared completely, the door in front of Li Wei had disappeared and turned into a big hole extending inside. Li Wei ignored it and walked directly inside. Is this something humans can do? In the snow forest not far away, Captain America saw this scene, and the whole person stayed in the same place stupidly, shocked to speak. At his previous time, mutant had just emerged, so Captain America had no idea that there was a surpassing human existence. If Captain America knew it, maybe it wouldn't be so surprised. It's definitely, Li Wei's ability is not mutant's ability, but the shock that Li Wei's ability can bring is far above mutant. I said, he and we are not in the same world. Natasha Romanoff gave a wry smile and said to Captain America. This time, Captain America was completely silent. It seems that he is really old, maybe he needs to get to know this brand new world. The conversation between Captain America and Black Widow, Li Wei is not clear. At the moment Li Wei has already entered the nest of Hydra. All the way forward, all the Hydra soldiers who appeared in front of Li Wei could not stand Li Wei's move. Countless bullets poured down frantically, all attacking Li Wei. But Li Wei didn't even look at it, he didn't even have the slightest defense. Because of the Phoenix's ability, the attacks of these thermal weapons have no effect on Li Wei at all. When the flame of regeneration subsided, Li Wei was as good as ever, without any scars. Seeking collection. Seeking flowers. Seeking evaluation votes. Ask for a reward. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running.